Todd.
All right, Coach Avalos, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's start with James Crapia from the Oregonian.
Andy, we talked a couple weeks ago about getting sub packages in against the run. You certainly did that. What was your evaluation of your heavy defensive line package? Because whether it was Christian, Brandon, Keon, they all seemed to make some plays for you.
We made some strides in the run game, obviously, whether it be against the bigger personnel sets that they'd given us or, the 11 personnel sets. Obviously, there's room to continue to grow, and the guys are excited to do that. Their care factor this last week about making these improvements that we've been talking about was extremely high. And so our conversations over the weekend, obviously after the game, we didn't get the outcome. We didn't meet the standard that we're always trying to achieve. So there's got to be continued growth. And, we got some personnel to be able to match certain personnel sets, and we've got to do a good job preparing those guys to do that and build off of what we did this last week with, the base group, which that's what we've been in the last couple games versus the pro style as well.
Matt Preem, 247 Sports.
Stick along those same lines, Andy. What have you seen just from the overall growth of Christian and Dorless and Swinson? Because it seemed like against Cal, that was probably the most they've played in a game to date.
Yeah, there's no question. We're at that point in the season too now where, the freshmen, they've banked a lot of reps. They're getting the experience. They're getting better. And it allows us to keep everybody, keep the play counts where we want them. And so that guys can stay fresh. They can do a better job of executing their assignments, playing with better fundamentals and technique and finishing plays. We've spoken a lot about finishing plays. And so we've got to continue growing in that way, not only cleaning up our fundamentals and techniques at the line of scrimmage to create clear fits for the linebackers and the safeties behind, but obviously then how we finish those plays as well has been a big to-do.
Ryan Thorburn, register guard.
Andy, how much different does Washington's offense look now that Peterson's retired, or is it similar to what he was doing?
The pro style, it's still the pro style. You're going to get multiple sets out of, different personnels and things like that you've got to be ready to align and adjust to. There are some similarities in terms of the pre-snap movement and the pre-snap formations and things like that they get to. But it's going to be the best O-line that we faced all year. The best running back group. The tight ends are good blockers and very effective in the pass game, obviously. And so physical offense and so there are a lot of similarities.
Max Torres, Scoop Duck.
Andy, the defense, an incredible performance against Cal, limiting them to just a single yard of offense in the fourth quarter. What stood out the most to you from the defense this weekend?
Well, I mean, it really starts during the week, right? And we kind of talked about that already, is just the care factor and the mentality and the urgency that we prepared ourselves with. And, we've got to continue on with that. That's the biggest thing. It's all about, how you prepare, and that's where the separation is created. And so we've got to grow off of what we did last week, and there's room. Again, there's still plenty of room to improve, and we intend to do so.
James.
Andy, what does it mean to have Drew back in the lineup? Because that group's been so tested these past 2 weeks, but not only for him to be back, but no one's playing a violin for you guys. I get it. But to be down so many guys at that position, but to then have Nate and Nick play the way they did, what does that say about the depth of that group that they were able to do that?
There's no question. The coaches did an unbelievable job getting the players, and everybody's going through it. To your point, James, everybody's going through that this year, and it's about having everybody ready every single week, and you never know when it's going to be your turn to step in and play. And those two young men did an unbelievable job. Obviously, Coach Wilson did a great job getting those guys ready to step in there. And the D-line, they stepped up as well, and they did a really good job in front of them, and we worked together. And so, that's where we got to get going, and stay on that track moving forward. Everybody's got to just do their piece of the puzzle to the best of their ability.
Jerry Thompson, Ducks Illustrated.
Yeah, Coach, Washington, slow starts last 2 weeks and come on like gangbusters. What has it been that you've seen that why they start so slowly, and how important is it to make sure you keep them that way too, and then finish strong, of course?
Well, they scored the most points in the second half out of anybody, that we've seen and throughout the conference. And so for whatever that is in the first half, they're more than capable. They're an explosive offense that obviously in the second half is proven that. And so, for us, it's more about focusing on us and what we need to do through the course of the game. And obviously that's starting fast. And we did a better job of that, this past week in finishing. And those have been our objectives that we need to focus on, and what we do in between, how we finish a half, how we start a half, how we finish the game. And so obviously in the second half, they've done a tremendous job, and I'm sure they will be ready. They will get themselves ready to start fast this week.
Warren Williamson, Oregon Duck Football News.
Andy, from the untrained eye, it seemed like your corners were playing a bit more press coverage against Cal with a few more blitz packages. Was that just a Cal thing, or are you kind of turning those guys loose a bit more as the season progresses here?
Well, we're trying to, much like we do in the front and within coverage windows, trying to constantly change the windows and we got to make the quarterbacks react. And, we can't always present the same windows within the coverage, whether it be in the interior or on, the outsides. And so we feel very strong about our corners and being able to do that, being able to switch up their techniques. And again, just like we spoke about the D tackles, as we grow through the season, those corners being able to mix up the techniques and the effectiveness, more importantly, of which they execute those on the outside is where we got to grow.
Kevin Wade, 247 Sports.
Andy, how do you read the defense after Cal's second quarter drive, 19 plays, almost 10 minutes? How do
I
you
apologize. Can you say that again? You were cutting out.
Sorry. Cal's second quarter drive, the 10-minute drive. How do you refocus the defense when you stop them 3 times on to bring up fourth down, but 3 penalties give them a new set of downs?
And that's what it is focus, right? Right, Kevin, that's 100% of what, it's not only the X's and O's, but it's our focus, it's our mentality. And again, that's an area that we've been striving to grow in. And really, again, it's about our focus and how we operate during the snap and obviously after the snap. Things are going to happen in a football game. Some of it's X's and O's, as we've spoken about. Some of it is not related to X's and O's. We've got to do a great job managing how we're operating and where our focus is. And that's really, that's us too, as coaches. It's not just the players, it's us as well. It starts with me.
All right, we have time for a couple more. Let's go back to James.
And they hit crossing routes against the inside linebacker each of the last 2 weeks. I realize there's some, zones going to happen and whatnot, but are there commonalities? Are there things that maybe Cal picked up on from OSU that they saw maybe they were going to create that matchup? Or is that just, you got to tip your hat to them and say, all right, they just had the right play call? Or is there ways to avoid that?
You know what, James, you're pro style offense, right? So you're going to see some of these common routes from the pro style offense based off of the run action, the play action pass, right? So we've gotten hit last couple of weeks on a couple of those, and we're going to work diligently this week to make sure that we are in better position and that we can do a better job on those routes.
Last question, Jerry.
Yeah, Coach, just to add to the question about how Washington finishes fast, does that mean that in the first half, or they make second half adjustments at halftime? Have you seen them do a lot of things different that they, in order to have some success in the second half, or they just execute better?
I think it's a little bit of a combination there. I think the execution has been on point. And obviously this is a team sport too. And so momentum is gained from, special teams, defense and all that stuff. So for us, our focus in making sure that whoever we are playing, that's one area for us to grow as well as a team and to create momentum for ourselves, in all facets of the game. And I think that's something that they've done, in the second half, as a whole team. And offensively, obviously for them to put up as many points as they have in the second half, they've done a tremendous job executing with some adjustments in the second half, but the majority of it is really good execution.
Thank you for your time, Coach Avalos. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thank you, guys.